Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. This is going to be another scuff video with no editing because once again I just don't have a video ready. Whatever. So yeah, there might be random pauses in this when a customer walks in. I have to pause the video. But here we are. So as soon as I've found, there we go, there's the screwdriver I'm looking for. So we're doing a pretty straightforward job today. This is going to be a lot of case swapping. I've got two MacBook bodies here. These are A2289. So these are 2020 Intel MacBook Pros. These two chassis were both sent in as a mail-in repair, and this has been a clown fiesta of a ticket where just nothing was quite what it seemed and everything was more simple than it should have been, and thus it just didn't, because I thought it was going to be a greatly more complicated job. It was very overdone and didn't get done in time, and then took ages because I was expecting this to be more. And then the more it went on, the more I was like, this is nothing. This is a big old nothing burger. Autofocus, please. Let's just set that up. That looks about right. I should get a full screen preview in front of me just to make sure that is in focus. There we go. Yeah, that looks good enough. I don't know what's going on with that white balance. This is going to be a very cold looking video. I'm going to fix the white balance on that. One moment. If I auto white balance that looks nicer. There we go. All right, that'll do. Where was I? So, the original fault description on this is that this would have some dead USB charge control chips. So the CD3217 chips on the logic board that handle USB-C power input would be faulty. And when I finally got around and started looking at this one, I found that they were not faulty. And I was like, is this thing okay? And I was like, oh, it powers on. The issue is that the battery in it is shot. So I was like, okay, well, this is just a bad battery then. So the customer had sent this empty chassis because it was in slightly better condition than their existing one, which has got some marks on it here and there. We were like, okay, well, we'll swap it into the nicer chassis then. And then that's also got a replacement battery in it. So I did that, and I was like, good, we're done. Then I turned it on and found that the screen on the replacement chassis had watermarks on it. And there were a couple of other things that were on the inside of the old one as well that also showed that clearly this replacement chassis was from a liquid damaged laptop. And so I called the customer. I was like, okay, well, you're going to want to use your old screen because the new one's got watermarks on it. So that was that. And we were like, okay, fine. So take it apart again, swap the screens over. And then they were like, okay, well, we want to factory reset the laptop. And I'm like, okay, no problem. We can certainly do that then. And so this morning I went to do the factory reset on the laptop, and I could not get this thing into recovery mode for love nor money at all. And finally I'm just like, have I got a busted keyboard or something like that? So I just let it go to the password screen and just tried typing in some letters, and I'm like, the keyboard is also faulty because it's from a liquid damaged laptop. So now I have to case swap everything back to the original chassis again. So the only thing that apparently seems to have been wrong with this laptop is maybe a bad battery. So there's a bad battery in this chassis. And now I'm actually here recording this, I'm beginning to think, is that battery even faulty? I'm going to test it because I'm beginning to wonder if this entire thing is a no fault found. And I've stripped and rebuilt it like 3 times for no reason at all. So yeah, that's how I feel about this job right now. And it's a very hard lesson in, remember the mantra, everyone, always disregard all information that you have received about the device and do your own checks. Because if you do that, you might just discover that there was actually nothing wrong with it. So I'm going to take this apart and we're going to case swap it back into the original chassis, which has a working keyboard. I'm also, while I'm at it, I'm going to leave the old we're going to go to the old battery and see if that actually works or not. If it doesn't work with the old battery, then we've got to lift this battery out and put it in there as well. So, absolute nonsense. So this video is basically going to be me doing a case swap on this thing. That's not the right screwdriver. So I'm going to kind of just sit and mosey through this, basically. And it's not a lot to it. It's just a lot of screws. These are a little bit intimidating, these ones, because there's just lots of bits that come out of them. But on the other hand, it's really no worse than any other. No worse than any other laptop, I guess. Let's see. We are still battery connected. I should probably disconnect the battery first. So let's undo that and that. So we've got the little data cable that comes over from the battery and then the main terminals. You're supposed to remove the terminals before the data cable, but I don't think it matters that much personally. That might be easy for me to say because I've never seen anything blow up from doing that. But when you disconnect the data cable from the battery, it also disconnects the battery present line, system present line, sorry. So the battery will switch off when this guy gets unplugged anyway. Right, that's going to tuck in there. And I'm just going to pull all of these wires back. This guy's been taken apart several times now, so there's some scraggly bits on it. You know, these pull tabs are getting a bit scraggly, that kind of thing. It all functions though, so... let's pull that back as well. We've also got to remove the display assembly because those need to be swapped over midway. What time is it? It is 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. So hopefully I can just have this done and then upload, leave it uploading while I walk away. Videos are still a little bit tough for finding good repair ones. Annoyingly, I had another good repair one yesterday, but I bottled out of recording it. It was another USB Type-C port replacement. When I took off the old port, I discovered that the old port had been knocked free and torn off half the pads. Well, more than half of the pads, 8 of them to be precise. And I've done a repair on that before, but I still wasn't brave enough to try and do it on camera. But it actually went very much to plan. It was textbook, and I was immeasurably sad that I wasn't recording. So I need to make a point of just like, even when I'm doing the stuff that I'm not so sure about, even if I'm not providing running commentary because I'm sort of going by the seat of my pants, just leaving the camera running anyway, because I can always upload that as like bonus footage or something like that. But I'm only able to do running commentary when I have some modicum of confidence in what I'm doing. Otherwise, there are certain times where when you want to sit and learn stuff, you have to just shut up and focus. What I've discovered is, because people often say to me, when they're sort of, well, people often say to me with regards to streaming and making videos, they go, I don't know how you can talk and work at the same time. And part of that is practice, but the other part of that is just how much mental energy you can expend at a time. And I figured out recently, because one of the things I've noticed is that I have there's particular mistakes that I make when I'm streaming games and stuff like that. And I realized, and with regards to learning while recording a video, I figured out that when I'm trying to do commentary and recording a video or streaming at the same time or something like that, I don't absorb information. Or rather, I have significantly more difficulty absorbing information. So that's the clincher. And we're back. And I've forgotten everything that I was talking about. So instead, I'll just carry on working on this. I've took out the last like 2 screws. So took out a screw there and just undid the screws for the display cable. Right, there's our logic board. That's coming out. Put that to one side. Then I think I need to pull everything else out of here as well. So we'll grab the cooling fan. I really dislike how many different screws there are in these modern MacBooks. It's very annoying. It's not very often that I bother to use a actual screw tray, but I've started using screw trays just because it does make life easier. I've stopped being stubborn. Let's see. Right, I need to take this bit out as well because that's the Touch ID sensor. So that's going to come out. That's all battery. I don't think we need... Do we need the trackpad? No, we don't need the trackpad. Whoops, wrong screwdriver. We probably need the speakers. I'll take them out just in case. There we go. And I need this little guy down here, which is the left-hand side Thunderbolt ports. Right, that stuff stays in there. That is the touch bar. And then... Is that broken? No, that's fine. And then we need to remove the display as well. Oh, God, now I've got to do all of this nonsense. Man, I must have done this in a blur the first time around because I have no memory of undoing all of these. Let's see. I need that guy here. P2 for all of these tiny little screws. I've got nice screwdrivers for pretty much all of these specialist screws now. So I bought, iFixit have got a specialist screwdriver kit, which specifically contains the P5 and P2 pentalobe screwdrivers. And it's difficult to find nice ones of those. And so I'm hoping these things are going to last quite well. And the specialist kit, I think it was only like £20 or something like that. So it's probably like $25. And like for like 4 or 5 screwdrivers, that sounds expensive, but that's actually reasonably priced for good specialist screwdrivers. So those complement the wearers I've got. And the other specialist screwdriver working on modern Macs is a T3 screwdriver as well. That's the other bastard one. Okay, right, that's the Wi-Fi antenna stuff. So 4 screws in the middle and those 2. So back onto T3 for those. This is the most annoying display assembly configuration. Thankfully, the newer ones, they simplified this, which was greatly appreciated. Which is good because screen replacements are good money on MacBooks. If you're running a computer shop and you're kind of not touching the newer MacBooks because you're a bit scared of them, replacing screens on them doesn't cost the earth. Some of the newer ones have got the cheaper screens on them now as well. Like I'm a wuss and I just replace the entire display assembly. But you can get replacement display assemblies for like the M1 and M2 MacBook Airs for like £200 on eBay. So the cost to the customer ends up being very favourable there. Take that guy out. That is all free. Good. I'll just hang this off the side and take out these back screws now. So many screws. There we go. Right. That's our good screen. And lastly, I've just got to take out that Touch ID sensor as well. So that little bit at the top just needs to flick off. Let's zoom in a little bit, I think. There we go. Not by far. I can't be bothered to sit and pan around. Up there, I think. Alright, I need to carefully lift this guy out. This is thankfully reasonably loose where it's already been out once. Alright, that's the headphone jack. And then the actual Touch ID sensor. I'm not sure which bit is coded to the laptop, whether it's all of that or just this guy. I'm changing it all out just for safety. Also, I think the headphone jack on the other one was corroded anyway. Really dumb that that chassis was on sale in the first place. Clearly hadn't been tested, otherwise they would have realised the keyboard didn't work. I guess a slightly water damaged screen for cheap might work out for someone who doesn't want to pay full whack for a new screen, but a liquid damaged keyboard is useless. Alright, so that's our bad chassis, but with a known good battery in it. The battery does work. I've not like capacity tested it or anything, but it does something. So let's open up this one again. Yeah, we've already got the screws out from there. Those are some spare CD3217s from the original job description. Oh, I did test the battery on this, I remember now. I can see the solder marks where I soldered jumper wires directly onto there to hook it up to my battery tester. So yeah, balls, that, yeah, okay, this battery's got to come out because I'm 99% certain it doesn't work. There was no communication with it. Very well, okay, right. That's the that's Touch ID from the bad keyboard. And we'll take this out as well. Bah. I was kind of hoping I wasn't going to have to swap these batteries over, but this is where we live now. Right, anything that I pull out of here I'm going to put to one side. That's staying. That can stay. I also need the customer to reply to me as to what we're doing with the battery. I'm kind of going on the assumption that they're going to take the battery from the bad chassis. Like, part of me is tempted to be like, my dude, just send this whole chassis back because it's crap. There was no useful parts to it. But if they do that, they're going to need a new battery. So I've given them the option because they might want to take the used battery just so they don't have to buy more parts. Either way, I need to take this battery out, so I'll go that far. Right. Oh. Getting ahead of myself. We're not ready to take that off yet. P2. I hope the background music isn't coming through too strong on this, otherwise the whole video will probably get copyright struck. I'm listening to Lo-Fi Girl's new Synthwave Boy radio station, and I'm digging it a lot. It's really chill. My only beef is it doesn't sound like they have a lot of music on it yet, so I tend to hear the same tracks again and again on there. I haven't done any measurements or anything, but there are a couple of tracks that have a very distinctive intro that I've noticed, and I'm sure I hear them at least 3 times a day if I have it on in the background all day long. Whoop. Wi-Fi antenna. Are either of these better than the other? Those are much of a muchness. I shall stack them. This is obviously one of those opportunities where you kind of want to take the best bits from each chassis to build up something as nice as you can. Alright, let's get these bolts out and get the display assembly off. No, see, this is the problem with zooming in, is just when I actually want to do one of the bigger shots, suddenly everything is too zoomed in, and I've got to constantly adjust the camera. Right, that's the bad screen that has watermarks on it. Oh, leaning down to put down. Oh, there we go. Right. Okay. So the battery on this definitely has to come out. So let's do that. Where's the T5? Let's undo those 2 guys. Pull this back. Right. And now that's loose. So that's ready to come out. So now just these cells are stuck in. So I'm going to get the isopropyl alcohol, which I keep in a spritz bottle, and I'm going to preemptively just spritz down the sides of these cells. It's pretty safe to be reasonably liberal with alcohol here. I try not to get it too much. I was about to say I try not to get it too much onto the keyboard. Onto the backing is fine, but I would try to avoid it going inside the keyboard, if you see what I mean. There would also be concerns about it getting into the display, but we've removed the display, so that's a non-issue. There we go. And now I shall get my battery scraper. So I use one of these bad boys at the moment. These came with some other battery. I've got a couple of them. I've got this mangled one and a nice shiny new one if I were desperate. And I'm also just going to put some alcohol on both sides of that. So that is lubed with alcohol. And I'm going to dig down directly under the cell. And there is a kind of a metal step under there that the cell sits on. So you've got to feel around a little bit. And at first you will probably see some indentation on the cells. It's not ideal, but it's fine. The pro strap for this is cheese wire, I think. I haven't looked into that yet because, as you can see, a little bit of brute force and ignorance works pretty good. So, a little bit of bravery as well. Once you've done a couple of these, you kind of get used to the violence of the whole ordeal. Alright, that'll do. Nice grip. Be gone. Ow. Don't skin your knuckles. Ah, there we go. Alright, that's 2. Now I've got to get that middle one. So obviously the middle one, this sits on top of the trackpad, so I want to be a little bit careful with this. I've never damaged a trackpad, and I think there's enough metalwork over it that you're pretty safe. You want to watch out for the wire, but this is not quite as bad as it looks. I'm going to try and go in at the top here, I think. So I'm away from this wire. Right, I'm under. Now I've just got to sort of explore underneath this cell. There we go. I think we're ready. Oop. Out she comes. There we go. Right, 1 battery. Whew. And as you can see, yeah, we've got sort of a metal plate across the back of the trackpad there, so we're pretty safe. It's up to, this is the point where there's danger. If I were trying to come in from the side or something, there's a danger that I could cut in there and damage that. From this direction, I'm going through across here, and the worst I can do is that, which is probably pretty safe. I don't think you're going to have to be really gung-ho to really damage something that way, but yeah. All right. So this is our known good keyboard, now with an empty battery bay. So I've got time on my hands now. I'll check in a minute to see if the customer has gotten back to me about the battery or not. And I'll start populating with this with all the known good stuff. So let's start putting stuff in. Let's get the known good screen. I'm going to double check this is the known good screen. It should be the original one, so there should be a scratch on this thing that matches up with the chassis. Yeah, there we go. So there's a scratch there that aligns. So I've got these the right way round again. These are the little marks and scratches that the customer was originally trying to get rid of by replacing the chassis, which was a noble endeavour. Just unfortunately, the replacement chassis was bollocks. Right. Coming up to 5 o'clock. We are 30 minutes into this recording. I think this is going to be a 1 hour long video, so, you know, rip everyone who wants half-hour videos. Half an hour is what I aim for. But I think I'm a dreamer if I thought I was going to get this job done in half an hour. That's good. Tighten those bolts down. Got to think of things to talk about again while I disrespect this MacBook. Ha! That's a callback to the previous video like this. Alright, so that speaker is already there. I should probably... This is the original one, so that speaker should be in good condition. So that one's going to go there. Can I put in the fan now? I think I can. Yeah, I'm going to put the fan in, and then we're going to get the Touch ID sensor back in. I guess I'll zoom in again. Boop. Small screws. Oh, I've forgotten which screws are my fan screws already. I think it's got to be these boys. They're really weird, some of these small screws. They're very small. They've got very fine threads on them. And that's a bad combination because it means it's really, really easy just to strip them. Even with these tiny little tips of the fingers wearer screwdrivers I use, you know, it's literally, you just go to finger tightness on these. If you actually try and tighten them down, you'll just immediately feel the thread strip out. I greatly dislike them. That doesn't feel very good. Oh, that's just not very well aligned. I'm going to back those out a touch. And then that way, the fan can still move and the other screws can align. Alright, I think we were missing one for there. Which is fine. It's not going to fall out. Touch ID sensor. So the Touch ID sensor. Whoop. The Touch ID sensor. It's this capacitive touch sensor. And then on the underside, there's a button that points down, and so this guy screws in. And I'll show you the mounting for it in a minute. This guy sits on a plate, and it kind of floats on that little rubber cushion. And then you've got 4 screws around that stabilize the whole thing. It's a fairly elegant solution, really. I always wondered, you know, these fingerprint power buttons that are becoming very common on modern laptops. I was very curious as to how those actually worked, but it is a remarkably simple mechanism. So we're starting to see them implemented on lots of other brands now as well. Which is nifty, because Windows has support for all of the fancy stuff that macOS can do. But Windows having support isn't a lot of use if no one puts the hardware on their computers. Right. There we go. Get that in. Okay. Now this little plate goes over the top. It's got a cutout that aligns with the ribbon. And now I need all the screws for it, which are these little silver boys. Are they all the same? We've got 2 bigger ones and 4 smaller ones. So the bigger ones go in the middle, and those are anchoring this plate to the chassis. And then the rest of the plate forms a spring that also adds some, and that forms the spring action for the power button. I'm just loose fitting all of these first, and then I'll tighten them down afterwards. It's a lot like fitting a trackpad with this. You kind of want to put all the screws in, and then you need to inspect before you actually tighten them, because there's enough adjustment here that you could very easily just put the power button in and it'll just be crooked. So you want to just get all the screws in place and then hold it straight while you tighten 1 or 2 of the screws. Oh my days, I'm fighting these right now. It's not that my screwdrivers aren't magnetized enough, it's just my aim sucks. And you have to... The screws are very fiddly. Alright. That can't go in quite yet, we've got another bit to go on. So... So as you can see, that button can actually move around quite a lot and easily be crooked. So I'm going to put the laptop on its side, which doesn't give you guys a very good view, but it allows me to see both sides of the button. And I'm just going to tighten the center screws while I hold the button straight. Now I'll bring in the outside screws until they're just like 1/8 of a turn loose. Alright, that's landed pretty straight. If you get the center screws straight, the rest should follow, I think. Yeah, that's passable. I'll take that. Now I'll just give these guys just a little nip. There we go. And now I shall put the headphone jack over the top. That aligns over the top of a tiny post. There. Three long boys. It's all of these tiny parts that make this such a time-consuming job. Older Macs, everything was just on the logic board, and like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot on the logic board, but now we've got, you know, the headphone jack, the Touch ID sensor, and we've got the separate Thunderbolt ports over here on the other side of the laptop, which actually I'll put in now just while I'm screwing ports in. And just there's these lots of tiny little fittings that you need to remember to put in. And the older MacBooks had a lot of fittings on them as well, but it was very rare that you ever needed to go anywhere near them. It was very unusual to need to take most of them out. I shall put a USB Type-C connector into that. Let's grab this Type-C power meter, and I'll just back those screws out so it's loose, then plug something in. And because there's something plugged in there, I know that that port is going to be perfectly aligned now. Of course, that much being said, it's a good thing that these ports are actually on a separate thing, because it does mean that if one of these Type-C ports gets mangled, like the center tongue gets broken off or something, you just got to replace that guy. You don't actually have to do any rework on the logic board, and that is a good thing, because most of the Windows laptops out there at the moment are soldering their Type-C ports directly onto the logic board. Hence why I was doing Type-C repair work yesterday. That's a good time to learn to be a hero there. Am I missing a thing? Oh, I am. One of the things is missing. Is that it there? It is. That's it right there from where I took this apart the other day. Screws within screws await you. Because, yeah. I guess it's because aluminium is too soft to rely on for screw points. Then these have got a screw in anyway. I don't know. I was reading a very interesting I read a very interesting blog article yesterday or the day before that was it came out a while back regarding the Juicero, which, of those of you who don't know, was a crowdfunded luxury juicer machine which raised an obscene amount of money. And the idea is you would have a subscription and they would send you essentially a bag with a load of fruits packed into it, and the machine would crush the bag and you would thus get perfectly farm fresh juice straight out the bag every time. The idea is pretty solid. And, you know, being subscription, you know, they would send you all of the refills so you don't have to go out and buy them and stuff like that. Up to you whether that's something that appeals or not. You know, there's some people who are going to like that. But the problem came in that the machine ended up costing $700. And also that subscription was $35 a month. And everyone had a good chuckle at it because of how absurd it was. And when the reviews came out and everyone was just like, how is a juicing machine $700? You know, it turned out that you could actually hand squeeze the bag just as fast as the machine could do it. Which, of course, further made the machine seem very overpriced and useless. Anyway, the reason why I'm telling this story is I read a blog article that was asking the question, why was the Juicero so expensive? You know, like, was it all just profit or what? Oh, there's the speaker grill. And it turned out that it was actually remarkably well engineered, but the problem there was it was remarkably over-engineered. Exactly the same problem as what we see to a certain extent here. So many custom machined parts, so many extra little fittings, so many pieces which you're like, well, that's very good, that's very high quality, but I'm fairly certain you could have left half of this stuff out and slashed the build cost of the device. So that was kind of the problem. And so I get the same vibe from these, where just all of these little fittings, all of this extraness on these is just, it makes for a very, very well engineered product, but you could probably do it for significantly less if you just simplified it without meaningfully compromising the quality, I don't think. So yeah, I am trying to extract screws that I'm missing here. Ah. There's one. Put you in there. There we go. Oh, and there's another one. That's where the other one went. That intact? I think it is. I swear, there we go. Some of these screws just look broken. Good. Right, I think that's ready for a logic board. Have I got any bits left? No. Remember, kids, when you're reassembling something, don't look at what's in the laptop, look at what's left on your bench. Good, right, so the logic board, that's going to go in like so. Let's slide that into the back there. Check that everything is over the top, which it is. And now I've got to direct all of these wires around it. I might pause for a break in a minute. I want a break. Normally I would just put my screwdriver down and take a break, but because we're doing this live, this is where we are. I say live, pre-recorded. Pre-recorded live content. Okay, right. You have a thing, you have a thing, you have a thing, you have a thing. That. No battery anyway. That. There we go. The logic board wasn't just clicking down into place. When you get it right, it should just sit in there and just shuffle. That's a happy logic board. That's what we want it to look like. Good. All right, I'm going to put a screw in there so it doesn't fall out. Let's pick... Oh, I've lost track of what screws go where on this. I need one of the thin ones. Maybe that one. Yeah, that'll do. Put you in there. Good. Right, that's not going to fall out. So now I can start putting things into place. This heatsink's got a little bit bent, which is why it's springing up, but it'll be okay. There's no horrifying kink in there, but I'm not going to try and straighten it too much because I might make a worse kink if I try and straighten it. So he's just going to get screwed down. I need a set of tiny nut drivers for some of these screws that are just tiny little nuts. Put a fingernail on top and just turn it with a screwdriver just to get it going. Then once the thread is going, you can then just use a pair of pliers. Laborious but effective. That'll do. All right. Start getting these cables in place. Once you've started getting all your cables plugged in, it starts feeling like the thing is back together, and that inspires a lot of confidence that you're actually nearly done. Because this is the point where you've put everything in the laptop, but you still feel a very long way away from completion, and you don't know why. But the reality is we're actually very close to done. We're just missing a couple of screws out of the laptop and a battery, and those will just drop in. Am I still on shot? Yeah, basically. Normally I don't have to check if I'm on shot because I can fix it all in editing these days. Or at least I can make sure that my face isn't covering something up. Keyboard in. That guy up there. Tiredness. The weekend cometh. Tomorrow is Saturday, podcast day. Right. I'm not going to put all these all these covers on quite yet. Let's put in more motherboard screws. That guy goes there, I think. It's going to have to because it's the only screw I've got. Oh, heck, I forgot to put this guy on again. This little bit of rubber here, this is an air guide. It sits about here-ish, and it prevents air that is coming out of this exit from cycling back into the fan. And it's really easy to forget to put this guy on when you put the thing in. Actually, you know what? Because this is slightly bent, I can get away with just letting that spring up. You can use tweezers and just sort of force it in there. However, you really want to get this guy in place when you put the logic board in, so we're way past that point. But I can make good. Just got to undo the annoying boy. There we go. Right. tweezer that under there. All right. Back down again. This is why pre-recorded is king, because people like seeing all the gory details. But also there's some stuff where it's just like, you guys don't need to see me put the same screw in 3 times. Although that much being said, I think there is a lot of value in being able to see that even people who do this all the time forget to put stuff in. And that's okay, you know. Right, display stuff. So, let's get these guys in. So, there's these extremely elaborate spring-loaded cable guides that guide the ribbons up. Need those. That's my watch buzzing to be like, you should get up and exercise. I'm thinking of ditching my smartwatch. I have it's a fitness band to be precise. It's a Honor 5 or something like that. Honor Band 5. It was very good value for money when I bought it. It's like 30 quid, 35 pounds, something like that. And what I liked about it is that it displays notifications from my phone. So the idea is while I'm sitting here, when I feel my phone buzz in my pocket, I can just go, that's not something I need to worry about. So instead of having to check my phone to see if it's something important that I should respond to right away or whether it's something that can wait. However, annoyingly, this guy's getting out of date now, and it just doesn't... The annoying thing about it is that it will only hold up to 10 notifications, and when I read the notification from my phone or elsewhere, it doesn't clear it from the watch. It used to, it just doesn't... It used to on my old Honor... my Honor P20... Honor. On my Huawei P20 it used to work. However, on my Pixel 6 it doesn't work properly. So it's getting to the point now where I'm finding myself, you know, I still wear this thing, but I find myself actually using it less and less. But also I really don't want to pay the amount of money that a good smartwatch costs. I don't think the utility you get from them is worth the amount they cost. Especially accounting for the fact that I don't want to have to charge it every night, because like I charge this once a week. So yeah, I might be cool and go back to just wearing a Casio or something. These screws, I think. Because the only thing I actually need from my watch is to tell the time. If I could get something cheap and cool that gives me notifications properly, that would be good. Bonus points for media control. Because one of the things that I originally wanted from this watch was media control. So when I'm driving or walking down the street and I want to just skip the song or something like that, I can just tap my watch instead of having to get my phone out. Especially useful while driving, because I don't have... I use Bluetooth audio in my car, but I don't have steering wheel controls or anything. So yeah, having controls on my watch would be rad. But the media controls never really worked properly on this fitness band, even when it was new and I was using my Huawei. So yes, I'm open to suggestions. But there is a severe danger that I'm going to be like, I'm just going to go back to having a Casio and get myself another F91 F91W, or whatever the Illuminator equivalent is. The original Casio was the F91W, I believe. That's the infamous one. Very basic, bomb-proof. However, the problem is the backlight on it, I say the backlight, the light on it is just a tiny little incandescent light in the corner and is crap. But the next version of it was called the Illuminator, and that one had an electroluminescent backlight. And EL backlights are super cool. That is the epitome of 90s LCD, in my opinion. Electroluminescent backlights. Before LED, but after incandescent. I kind of want that look again, because I'm a sucker for the 90s. I'm a sucker for the last decade. Oh, there are more screws there. I was going to say I'm running out of screws. Getting back on topic, I will once again grumble that I'm not sure why we need 12 screws to hold this Wi-Fi antenna in place. The new ones are not so bad, so thankfully just Apple, I think, also got the same idea. But this goes back to what I was talking about. When Apple stuff is really expensive, I can't help but think that there are many ways in which it doesn't need to be that expensive. Ah, there we go. Right, that's the... oh, no. That needs to go on as well. And then... that cover... no, that goes up there. There's the display stuff. Damn it. Come on. Ugh. Right. Tiny little cover there that stops the cable from popping off. And this guy, I'm not actually sure which way up this guy is supposed to go. I'm not sure that it matters. There we go. Come on. Right. What I'm going to do, I think... what's the timer on? Oh, it's 58 minutes. Oh, I've just missed being able to keep this under an hour. Oh, that's mortifying. Because I was going to say, if I turn this on now and get a picture, I could be like, there we go, it works. Bye, everyone. And the video will still be under an hour. I mean, if I can finish it in the next 60 seconds, I don't think it can be done. Like, if it just gives me a picture, I can be like, there you go, that's how you rehouse it. I don't think it can be done. I really hate it when a video is over an hour long, though. Oh, MacBooks hate this adapter that I use. Damn it. Big heck. What if I just plug it in? I don't know if it'll actually turn on with no battery connected now I mention it. Oh, okay. No, it's no good. We'll have to go to the other charger. We're going to roll over an hour. So in which case, I will do fancy stuff with cameras instead. Right. Let's switch to the other camera control. And I'm going to go, watch me go. Oh, this isn't going to work, actually. This is the Insta360 Link on a gimbal. But I don't think it can actually do a full 180-degree rotation. Oh, that'll do. That's looking back over there. That might be in range. Now I can come over here. I don't know how much I need to raise my voice, so I'm just going to raise my voice. Plug in this charger, which does work. 20 volts. will it turn on is the question. There we go, we have a chart and we have a picture. Good, it works. I'll turn it away. Oh, it's going to come up with a generic username, I think. There we go. Cool, right. Turn it off. And now, just to please Insta360 some more, because they've sent me more stuff to look at, I'm going to use one of my presets to go whoop and whip straight back round to the seated position. Oh, this preset is slightly off. I made this preset when I was sitting like here. I've moved. So now I'll use the gesture control and position myself up here. And then stop. There we go. How about that, everyone? How'd you like it? These cameras are £300, but they are also the best webcams money can buy. I've checked. Anyway, right. Let's see. Back on topic. All right, so this works. So the rule with them is it'll work with no battery in, but it won't work with an invalid battery in. So this guy's now been redone. I guess I'll put on the last couple of covers here. And then I think that's where we're going to leave it, because I'm going to wait and see if the customer wants me to put a new battery in or whether we're going to pull the battery out of the old one. The end of the story is largely the same regardless. I will slap a battery in there and plug it in, and that'll be that. I think all of the actual value of this video, which is either me waffling for an hour or seeing a full strip and rebuild of a 2020 MacBook Pro, I think that has now been achieved. And because I've said the magic words of we're wrapping up kind of thing, technically on all of the YouTube statistics, this is the point where you see the viewership tank. It's not something I ever worry about. However, apparently, you should never say like the words wrapping up or something like that, because that immediately has everyone go, cool, that's all of the value in this video. I don't need to stick around to see someone say goodbye. And I think that does happen just because the number of people who still think that my name is Adam, even though it's said hosted and edited by Graham Lord on the end of every video for a very long time now. I'm going to put all of these, I'll put all of these on. Some of these are going to come back out for the battery, but I'll put all of these in because then I'll have an empty screw tray. Heck. Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed this. This has actually been fairly therapeutic for me because it's been enough of a distraction that I've forgotten about how annoyed I am at this job. I'm annoyed at how many times I've had to take this wretched laptop to pieces only to have to do it again. Right. I'll just put that on there for now. Because now I can plug this in and I can factory reset it overnight, and then I'll check my email tomorrow morning and doubtless find a message from the customer saying, yes, please use the battery from the bad chassis. Ooh. There we go, everyone. We're done. Right, that's the end of the video, everyone. We've gone over the 1 hour marker. Oh. But it's done. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This has been Disrespected MacBook. See you all next time. Bye-bye.